DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
You're tuned in to DJNTV Live with your host, Brian Esred.
This time, though. So, hey, we are back. Now, why I'm saying we're back is this is actually the third time we're going to try to record this show. It's Tuesday night here. You're going to be seeing people jumping in, and we'll be getting their cameras and such shut off as they jump in because what we ended up having to do is let's see, stop that.
Who the hell just came in and cranked the...
We'll get him here. So what we ended up having to do is we've had some problems with YouTube tonight, so we're actually doing this via the Zoom app and recording this, and then we're going to be uploading this later. So I'm going through and people jump in, and we're shutting off cameras and things to make sure that we are good to go. Thank you. There we go. So what tonight's show is about is we're going to be talking about the idea of using an iPad with your DJ system. Some people use them quite a bit. Brian's been using it for programming lighting. I've been using it. And some people haven't made the jump. And after today's Apple announcement, I think the iPad or tablets are starting to evolve to the point where it's something we need to look at. Probably, Brian, the most telling fact that Apple mentioned today when it came to the iPad is their new iPad is faster than 92% of the laptops that have been sold in the last 5 years. I mean, the idea that they have come that far is just, it's incredible to me. So let's start. I'm going to go through kind of what the Apple event was today, and this is typically where our show has crashed tonight. Each and every time. Yeah. So the event,
we're going to get there.
Yeah, we'll get through it this time. There's no question about it because now we've got the connection, Zoom, and everything's right there. And for those of you watching in Zoom with us, thank you for joining us. By the way, again, we apologize for things. There's a chat on the bottom of Zoom, and you guys can go and use that chat just like you do with YouTube. Make sure that you're addressing your comments to everyone because if you just send it to, yeah, you can send it to individual people or everyone. So it's a little bit different than the YouTube one, but just make sure you're there. You can, everyone, and that way you guys can chat there. So today's event with Apple, they introduced a new MacBook Air, which I have one. It's an i7. I absolutely love it for travel and such. The new one doesn't have an i7. The new one has more memory, has some capabilities. Basically, from my opinion, if you have an older one like I do, it's a couple of years old. They haven't changed them in a number of years. I don't know if this new one is worth upgrading to unless you need to. Otherwise, if you don't have one, they're a great device, and it is something that you could definitely use. The new one is probably now fast enough to stream video, like if you're doing virtual DJ, which is something that mine can't do. Well, it can't mix smoothly like a MacBook Pro can. But it's something there. They came out with a Mac Mini or a new Mac Mini today, which is basically a pumped up. Probably the biggest improvement was in the Mac Mini. If you are somebody who's looking for that little compact form, I know like Jimmy likes to have a larger screen. The new Mac Mini could definitely be a player in that because it has the ability to run a 5K screen and it can run 4K displays, multiple displays, and it's really, they bumped up the game. So the Mac Mini is definitely, that would be a kind of buy. The MacBook Air, maybe not so much kind of buy. Then they introduced the training at their Apple store, this Today at Apple or whatever the heck it was. It's like, really? If you want to go and have the yuppie experience, if you're downtown New York, I mean, I was thinking if there would be an Apple store, Brian, in your neighborhood, this would have been like, they would have been all over. The hipsters in your neighborhood be like all over that. It would just absolutely love it.
Probably would be.
It's like they're the first ones I thought about is when they were talking about that. It's like, oh yeah, Brian's neighbors would absolutely just love that. So, Dave, I'm going to shut your camera off here because we're just we're recording tonight's show and such. Well, so on all cameras off. So thank you for joining us all. So that was boring. The last part is really what I wanted to, let me bounce to the very end of it. They had a live musician, and the young lady and the guy were great musicians. But, dude, I'm here to learn about computers, and you're going to play a song for me and try to culture me up? Culture. Yuck.
That's why my neighborhood would have been perfect for.
They would have loved it.
They would have been all over that.
They were probably half of your neighborhood is probably
An
watching.
acoustic set.
That's pretty much what it was. A guy was playing piano and she's singing, and it was beautiful. And Apple.
How did I know that?
Apple does their thing. Yeah, exactly. Because it's fitting that demographic that is your neighborhood.
They know their audience.
Yeah, for sure.
They know they're like DJs. They know their audience. They know how to entice them and get them interested. And
and
let's
make
it like a coffee house.
Which was concerning to me because item 3 with their in-store training and that experience, and then with the music at the end, it's like, okay, that didn't appeal to me. So does that mean I'm leaving their audience and I'm beyond their audience, meaning that I'm getting too old for this stuff? We'll stop right there. Thank you. So the iPad was the interesting one. They introduced.
Now I have a question.
Go ahead.
No. You're addressing it now.
Okay,
Let's talk about the iPad.
The new iPad. They came out with 2 different iPad Pros today. They are still at an 11-inch instead of the 10.5-inch. Same size, just they made the screen larger and the edges are much smaller. Then they have a 12.9, I believe, and what they did with that one is they made the edges much smaller and they were actually able to shrink it down. So the 12.9 inches, almost the exact same size as a sheet of paper. So it's a little bit smaller form factor, but the same large screen. Whereas the one that I would be interested in is the one that was based on the same size as the 10.5-inch, which came out before. Cameras are the same. There wasn't a big improvement in the camera. There was a processor upgrade into that. It's smaller, lighter weight. Again, the same kind of a battery life. The coolest thing I think with it is now that it's got USB-C, which I'm not excited about that because I've got lightning cables everywhere here, but it can now hook up to a hub. And from that hub, you can have multiple things happening at the same time, which is kind of a new capability for an iPad. So this opens up the possibility of having an external, a couple of external devices going on at the same time. That plus the 1 terabyte of storage in it makes the new iPad become, I think, a player because the current iPads have a lot of functionality.
A terabyte of storage is a good one.
Exactly.
They were always really stingy with their storage.
It was really, really frustrating. It's like, what am I doing with 128 meg if I want to put any music or video? Oh, I put a couple of movies on it. Oh, right. Well, I'm done. So let's.
Well, most people don't use. We got a bad delay here. Most people don't use these devices like we do. I mean, most people are using simple apps and just surfing the net. That's kind of the thing now. That's why your regular computer is kind of harder to find now. Everything's a little notebook or something, where we kind of like computing. We like to process things and we like to store things. It's a little different than what the average consumer is doing.
Yeah. And that's probably a big thing that our needs are different, but yet there's times where I feel like some of the regular people, because of them trying to do the graphics and all these different things with it, are probably taxing the systems more than we would. I don't know. It's a tough call because you hear.
What do you?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask about price point on it. Did they give any indication as to what this was going to cost?
I priced it out, and of course, if I'm going to have it, I want to have cellular service with it because that is so convenient, and that'll get me back to Sunday or Saturday what we did with it. I want cell service. I want the big hard drive and such. $1,799 is what the price tag would be up for that machine. It's like, oh my God, that's a laptop. Laptop cost.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to see if I can change connections here. I'm going to see. We're going to try to go back to I think they reset the router in the house. I want to see if it's me. Okay, it seems that we're still good. So I don't know. I switched back to the landline here. So, and it seems to be moving. So
if I talk now, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yep. I can hear you. Yep. I could hear you before, but it was like
close. It's closer. There's still some lag, but
yeah. But there was much more distance before. So
yeah.
So let's kind of for those who haven't used an iPad at events, let's kind of look at what you were using it for and how it's become with the programming and such, with the lighting and such, and how guys have been using it that you've been helping getting their light shows connected with that.
Well, I've seen this used two different ways. I've seen them used for, of course, the Airstream DMX Bridge, and this is just something that I do well with. It's an easy iPad app easy for me anyway, to control your DMX lights. It's you can just program them pretty easy. The biggest appeal for me was the moving heads. It was easy to take your finger and draw, and make your moving head do things and position it, and brilliant as far as I'm concerned. When it came to that, and then the other thing I've seen people use it for is using the algorithm DJ program. So they're taking their iPad and they're using it for ceremony. So they don't have to do their entire rig for ceremony, or alternately remote ceremony. That's the two ways that I've seen DJs use this, as a lighting controller and as either a kind of a Spotify, I've got internet, or I have a Spotify playlist loaded in, DJ algorithm sort of tool. So I've kind of moved on, and I'm doing something else now, but we can talk about that later. But I've got other ideas.
Yeah.
I'm sharing with the class.
The of course, I've been using that for my DMX lighting, and I've also been using it for some Bluetooth lighting testing that I've been doing. I did a video on that a couple of weeks ago. But this past weekend was the first time I went to the event. It was a family fun night for our church, and I basically volunteered to come in and put sound in there. Well, this is the first time me working with our church this way, and there's a part of me that's always a little kind of leery about, okay, if I go in there and I start playing, I've never been to one of the events like this, so if I go in there and I play some of the traditional family event music that is this group more conservative than groups I played with in the past, and are they going to be offended if you play something, will they be offended if YMCA is played, type of thing?
Okay.
I don't know.
Pretty conservative.
Exactly. And I just don't know. So I was a little concerned. So I told the pastor, it's like, I have no problem. I'm going to come in there and get everything all set up and such. I'm going to have six speaker locations around the room. It was in a gymnasium. And I'm going to then have it set up with the board and microphones. And then if he could bring in, kind of what kind of music they wanted I'm good with that. That way I'm going to get a feel for what kind of things. And he's like, oh, that'll be great. No problem. So we get there and I put on Apple Music, and I'm streaming the 80s music from that. And people, as they're setting up, are bebopping, and they're liking that. And he comes up with his laptop and he goes, geez, John, I really like the music. What you're playing is perfect. It's like, well, it's Apple Music, and there's sometimes that some of the music, as an example, there was a Prince song that popped up, and it's like, yeah, I'm not going to play When Doves Cry probably at a church event. Not such a good song to play. So I was just a little, I figured I couldn't do that. I went through, and it's like, okay, I've got some songs in my iPad. They're not completely, because I know I have one iPad that has every song that I played. So I'm like, oh yeah. It's like, well, it's like, if you want that kind of music, I can do that, and I can do it and DJ for it. And he goes, okay, great. That's one. He walks out with his laptop. Well, I go and I check. I have 30 songs on my iPad. That's it. Of those 30 songs, these were songs that I had played at parades, and there were 10 songs that were pop songs that were from 2015 and 16. That's it on my iPad. This is where the DJ app, and as you mentioned, Spotify, were a complete lifesaver, because a person could go through. The biggest struggle I had is, okay, so I had those 30 songs I knew were either clean, they were clean versions, or I knew those songs well enough. So it's to know songs well enough and to know I can go to Spotify and find, like, I love rock and roll on Spotify. It's going to be fine. No question about it. I go Uptown Funk. If I go to Spotify with Uptown Funk, it's not the clean version.
I don't know how that's going to work out for you.
Clean enough version. So that was probably the biggest struggle, is using that. Otherwise, it was really kind of cool. And as I got to using it, because it was about 2.5 hours that I ended up DJing with the iPad that way, and to be able to do some of the things, it's like, as one of the kids came up and such, who knows a little bit about the DJ thing. He's like, how are you doing this? He goes, because you're the mixing in different things and you're hitting cue points or you're hitting the songs right on, is what he said. And it's like, well, it's the app, and I can do some things and be able to set the songs up and move them ahead, but it's all done on this, the little device, as opposed to my typical computer and typical different things. So my thought afterwards is like, if a person needed to, I think you can do a very solid. You're not going to be as good as you would be on your main stuff, but I think the iPads have come so far that you can be a very competent DJ just using that as a music source.
You mind if I play devil's advocate?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Now, there are people who love their iPads. John obviously loves his iPad.
All 6 of them, thank you.
Yes. Now, I own one. I got it this, I guess, almost 8 years ago for Christmas. So I do have one, but it's an older one. It's a Gen 2 or whatever. And it comes in handy. It runs the apps that I need to run. And there are certain content providers or companies that will only release apps for Apple, because I guess it's easier to make an app for that. And if you got to make it for Android, you got to start all over again. I don't know. Anyway, so when it comes to proprietary things that I have to have an iPad for, what are you going to do? You have no choice. You're strong-armed into using it.
Mm-hmm.
But for everything else, okay, okay, look, for my birthday this year, okay, I decided that I wanted something for myself. And I don't buy things for myself very often. You may say to yourself, dude, you got tons of stuff. That's for work.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to buy something personal for myself, I don't do it very often. I had just gotten the LD Systems Maui 5 Go. And, that's kind of a work item, but it's also a personal fun item, because I can take that onto the disco porch and play music through it, or take it into the backyard and entertain with it. So I thought, this is a drag doing it on my phone all the time. And I wouldn't mind streaming my cable service.
Mm-hmm.
So I got Google Internet in my house. So I expanded my internet signal to go in the backyard and the front yard and all that. And then I started exploring the tablet option. Now, the one problem that I have with my iPad, now, granted, my iPad is 8 years old, but probably 6 months into owning it, it fell off the arm of the chair, hit something, I don't even know what, and it dented the side of it right where the volume control was.
Oh, no.
You can't take it apart and fix it. And it's like aluminum and whatever. So you're kind of stuck with it. So the volume is very, very difficult to adjust. So what does that tell you? It tells you that, Stroke Boy over here screws stuff up. He drops stuff once in a while. I'm kind of clumsy that way.
Yeah.
So I wanted something durable. And I also wanted something that looked good. And I wasn't trying to be cheap or anything, but I was trying to find the durable thing that worked. Mm-hmm. All I want to do is stream my SiriusXM and maybe some cable on the disco ports. That's all I want to do. So I bought this right here.
What's
this? Is an Amazon Fire HD 10.
Mm-hmm.
I paid $119 for this on Amazon. I could throw this thing behind me like I just did. I'm sorry. Did you want to see that again?
Yes, Jimmy. I'm hoping
Dude, I am not protective
case.
This thing, I can't screw it up. Can you do that with an iPad?
I don't.
Can you? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so. No.
What'd you do with an iPad?
Not a chance in.
Okay.
What a great
Just
commercial.
To punctuate my point, I want to show you something, okay?
Yep.
Okay, that's real, okay?
Yeah,
what I just did is not special effects.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, we don't have the production.
You can't hurt this thing. You can't.
Okay.
They buy them for children. And the reason they buy them for children is because kids drop stuff.
Oh, yeah.
This thing is freaking destructible. All right? Now, I bought this little case for it for $11.
Which it's not in right now.
Huh?
It's not in a case right now.
No, it was not in a case.
Oh,
I was just throwing it around. Dude, I'm telling you.
I'm just
okay?
throwing it around. Yeah. Here's a tablet.
I'm giving you my case here, okay? This is real stuff. All right. I put it in the case upside down.
Yeah, put it in, and then you're gonna have to turn it on because Jimmy says it's not on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jimmy.
You
here, let me take it out. Let me take it out of the case again, okay? I want to just kind of satisfy Jimmy on this one.
Yeah, I think I know.
Turn it on.
Let's
turn it on,
okay?
okay?
Happen here.
We're gonna turn it on. We're gonna press the button. Oh no, it doesn't power up. No, come on, turn on, buddy. You got to hold it down for a second. Okay, there it is, and it's firing up. Okay, it's got to boot up.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a second. It's an Amazon Fire HD10 tablet. It takes a second.
Yeah, we're seeing it. It's coming through. He broke it. Yes, Scott.
I didn't break it. The thing is bulletproof. Okay. Now, while it's firing up, I'll tell you this. The reason it was so attractive to me was because although I think it's only 64 gigabyte of memory, it's very easily expandable via micro SD card.
Nice.
So I put a 256 gigabyte memory card on this device.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the bummer part is I get this stupid ad. Okay. It's Amazon. All right.
Okay.
What I can do, and I can't hold it up to show you.
Yep.
I can just swipe and the thing goes away. And wham, bam, shang-a-lang, there it is. Okay.
Okay.
Boom, done. All right. Now, this is an Amazon Fire. This is not an Android. It's an Amazon device. However, if you go on YouTube, and you learn how to do anything on YouTube, there's a special way that you can download the Google Play Store into this particular device, which essentially turns it into
an Android.
Correct. So you can download any app you want. And in my case, I downloaded DJ2 because I had this situation where I had a ceremony this summer. I needed a battery powered something to play music on. Sure, I could have used my laptop, but I had that all set up in the hall, with my laptop and everything. It was all set up, ready for the actual reception. I was remote with a ceremony, needed battery powered. Okay, I need a mixer too. Wait, no, I don't, because the DJ2 device essentially is a mixing board.
Yeah.
You can just run a little mini plug out of the headphone jack into a powered speaker, and you've bypassed the whole mixer thing. And it's got built-in GEQ with high, mid, and low on each independent channel.
Mm-hmm.
You can put a whole bunch of essential tracks on this thing. So if you kind of know what you play at every event, stuff that you got to have.
Yeah.
If you really consolidate, you can get by with not a whole lot of files, or less than your 2 terabyte files that you bring with you all the time anyway. Let's say you need 50 megabytes of files to get, or 50 gig of files to get by. You can totally do it on this. Let's have room.
Sure. Yeah.
Room to spare.
Micro SD. Those, I think I've got a 512 micro SD in the house that we use for video.
Yeah. So there you go, man. I've got a ceremony, mixer, controller, and music source.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've got it wrapped up in less than $150 with case and micro SD card. And the $2.99 I paid for the DJ2 app. And I don't have to worry about dropping the fucking thing. It's totally cool. So to me, this is a much better deal than a made of glass $1,700 iPad.
Oh, for sure.
And then that's why. Now, if you are very careful with everything and you love Mac, it's all you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need to do. But if you want to take $150 and give yourself some serious insurance at your gigs for backup and a great little system for ceremony and remote cocktail, battery powered, all inclusive, I recommend this. Why wouldn't you? Who couldn't afford this?
Mm-hmm.
Get 2 if you want. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, they're small and they're cheap.
And they make great frisbees and they fly so well.
Dude, you can't break it. I was showing, remember when I went to Colorado Sound Light?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Mark over there, and he was talking about, we were thinking about going tablet. And I was trying to show him all the stuff on my tablet, and he seemed pretty uninterested in the whole thing. And I picked it up and just chucked it across the shop. And it hit the ground and skidded. And he was like, oh my God. I'm like, no, it's okay. He's like, what do you mean it's okay? You just threw it across the shop. I'm like, you can't break it. It's like, no way. You destroyed that thing. It's like, nope. Picked it up. It's just fine. And just for Jimmy's sake, yeah, it's just fine. So this thing is just the bomb, man. I mean, and it's, I don't know how fast it is. I don't know what the processor is on. I don't care. When I open up the DJ2 app, I have to leave the app open for a few minutes before it can access that micro SD card.
Okay.
It does take a second to access it, which to me says it's not a super fast processor or a super fast micro SD card. To that, I say $150 backup.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? Look, 3 minutes of my time, okay, is worth a lot less than $1,500.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
So I'm okay with that. So, yeah, if I've got a proprietary thing that I have to, absolutely have to have an
iOS
operating system,
yep.
iOS. I always say ISO, iOS. Then you got to use your little I thing. But otherwise, why? I mean, and it's a price point thing.
Oh, for sure.
And you don't have to feel bad about, they just came out with the 2019 version of it. You don't have to feel bad about buying another one because you didn't pay that much for it.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the upgrade. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on the tablet thing. And I just did a video on this the other day because a good pal of mine, he texted me, and I think it was Thursday night, and it was very late. I was actually in bed in a panic because his MacBook Pro went down. And, I know, okay, that it's very expensive for a guy like me to own 2 MacBook Pros. I don't own 1 MacBook Pro, let alone 2, because I just go a different route. So I get it that not everybody can buy 2 MacBook Pros. And if you're a Mac person, you want to run Mac, great. But you got to have some kind of backup.
Oh, for sure.
So regardless as to whether or not you're running Mac or PC or whatever, this is a hell of a nice, inexpensive, reasonable solution. Now, let's just say for some weird reason, okay, that you do not happen to have $150 on you, and you need backup now, and you happen to own an Android phone, guess what? You can put that same 256 gigabyte, $20 micro SD card into your Android phone. And incidentally, you can download the same DJ2 program from Algorithm and put it on your phone. You can run a little mini plug out of the headphone jack, and you can get by. If you have all of your essential tracks loaded on that micro SD card, you can get by. The thing I hate about this, though, okay, I really hate, not only it's a faster processor, it's smaller, all that stuff. I can't stand watching people mess with their phones. It's not cool. Mm-hmm. It's just not cool. Not to me. I see people in my neighborhood all the time walking across the street. Wait a minute, you're walking across the street, dude. There's trucks coming down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Look left, look.
It's maybe it's an old crotchety thing to feel that way, but I don't think that your guests are going to appreciate you playing with your phone. And
that circles it around to one of the reasons why I think using an iPad or a phone at an event, even an emergency, that's one thing, obviously, but how does it look when you're...
I think you're okay with a tablet. And here's why. If you set it up right, if you're not holding it and playing around with it, I think you're okay. Let me put this back in the case where it belongs before, as I'm done throwing it around.
Yeah, exactly. It's already made this route around the room.
Put it back in the case here. It just clips in. Again, this case, I think I paid $11 for it. There's an official Amazon Fire case that you can buy, and it's like $40. And if I just paid $120 for this, why would I pay, like a third of the price for a case? That just doesn't. It's just an insult to my economic intelligence. So I searched a little further, and I found this cool little case for $11, and I like it a lot. And what I'm going to have to do is readjust my camera here for a second, if I can, just to kind of show you how it works. So there it is in the case, right?
Yep.
I don't know if I get the camera to stay there. And I only have one hand, but if I have this thing like in the case, and the case has a little prop on it where you can hold it up, and I can set this thing in front of me, it's no different than a computer, a touchpad computer.
Mm-hmm.
They can't see what I'm doing. It's on the table. I'm working it. It's not like I'm sitting there with it in my hand like my phone would be.
Right.
So I think with a tablet, personally, I feel like you get a mulligan on that. It looks a lot more professional. If one were professional, more professional than the other, than the phone. So I think you're okay with the tablet.
Sure.
Not only that, but I mean, let's just be candid. I got 47-year-old eyes, and the phone is kind of small.
Exactly. They're getting smaller and smaller every year.
Now, I have very small hands for a guy. They're small, but I still have a hard time sometimes hitting my target on my touch phone. But I do pretty well on a tablet. Mm-hmm. So somebody who has big sausage fingers, they're definitely going to get by with a tablet better. A touchscreen tablet better than they're going to get by with their phone. So I said 2 cents. I actually gave you about $5.78, but there's my rebuttal. Yeah, it's cool stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But geez, man, you can do this so economically. There's no excuse not to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. Well, I want to get the iPad, but I got to save up to do that. No, you just go on Amazon and buy this crap for $150.
Oh, and then with Black Friday coming up here, I bet that the $150 will probably be $100. That.
Well, in fact, I did that video 2 days ago, I think, and I said it was normally normal price on it was $159. Mm-hmm. I happen to get it for $119 on a sale.
Sure.
It's actually 2 days ago when I looked at it is $119. Now, what will Black Friday and Cyber Monday bring for Amazon on this thing? Maybe the goddamn thing's $80. I don't know. But at any rate, it's inexpensive. Even at $160 with the SD card and the case, you're still in it for under $2. And that's very affordable backup. And again, something that Anything can offer you is the sheer durability of this piece. Mm-hmm. Which to me is super important.
For sure.
Being a clumsy person, so.
For sure. Well, that was
I didn't mean to get so passionate about that.
Good. That was a good demonstration. One question I do have though, Brian, if a person's playing, you've got playing one song and you've got the second queued up, and is there any kind of lag or any kind of when the two songs are playing and you're moving that crossfader back and forth? Does it function pretty well? Yeah,
it does.
Nice.
Functions just fine. Now, there's the deal with the DJ by algorithm program. If anybody's ever played with it, basically what you do is you would run your mini plug out of that device into either a powered speaker or a mixing board. You can Bluetooth it, but I don't like the lag on Bluetooth, so I just avoid that. Mm-hmm. I don't do it. The only time I Bluetooth is if I'm just listening to Sirius XM in the garage or something, or on the disco portion, it doesn't matter. But if I'm actually performing or I'm watching TV, the lag is really annoying. But it's stereo out, okay? And then your mixer is all right there on the device itself. Well, here's the problem. Cue. What if you want to preview a track? How do you do that? Mm-hmm. Well, there is a device out there that you can buy. And I have one. And it's for DJ, specifically for DJ. I think it's like $11 or $14. It's a Y cable.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And what it does is it splits the signal into two, takes your stereo signal and splits it into two separate mono signals.
Yep, I get you.
Now, I'm just going to show you something real quick here, if I can, just to kind of demonstrate this. I got to open the DJ program to show this. This will work on your phone, or it'll work on your tablet. Either way. Okay, you see how that crossfader is in the middle right there?
Yep.
Okay, so if the crossfader is on deck A with this little adapter I'm telling you about, okay, and with the special setting that you have to hit here in the program to turn this feature on, your headphones come out of B. Now, once you move your crossfader over to B, your headphones then come out of A.
Oh,
it's weird. Okay, it's really weird, and it's mono out. But you know, if you're doing ceremony or cocktail, you're only running one speaker anyway, so who cares? And it's $150. So I can't just stress that enough. You can spend a lot more money on something, but for the price, can't beat it. I don't know how you can beat it. I did a video on this, and it was a little long, and I actually did it a couple times because it kept getting longer and longer and longer. And I made it as short as I felt like I possibly could, trying to give all the explanation that I could on this. I still missed some things. 7.5 minutes long, but the video's going gangbusters.
Sure.
Because people are looking for economical backup for music. It's important. Your computer crashes, you got a problem. But who can go out and buy a second computer? Even if you can you maintain it? So, yeah. In the danger of repeating myself here, consolidate your essential tracks onto that SD card.
For sure. And just looking at it, 256 is the max you can use on the micro SD in this slot. That's the most it'll recognize.
Yes. Yeah, so, but that's enough.
That's
now,
a lot.
Having said that, you can use Spotify on this. Absolutely.
I was noticing that Spotify's there, Netflix is there, Amazon Music, obviously.
The biggest problem, okay, for me is I want to have more control over my content than Spotify offers.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. I want to make sure we just discussed that.
Yep. I could appreciate this.
You get the right versions of things and they're edited and all that. The other thing is, regardless as to whether you download a playlist early or not, you know, internet is such a spotty thing in some parts of the world. If you live in England, you're like, yeah, I just use the internet. It's okay. Just stream everything. That's okay. And maybe some people in Southern California are like, yeah, we always have good signal. But no, not in the Midwest. I mean, you can end up in the middle of a cornfield. I'm 80 miles from Chicago, and you can't get a Verizon, Sprint, or AT&T phone signal in my home. I'm right on the lakeshore in Milwaukee, South Side, and you cannot get those signals in my home. You have to go on the porch or the backyard. Now, I have US Cellular, and it works fine, but I'm in a dead zone. So I'm aware of this. I know these exist, even in urban areas. So for that reason, I do not rely on internet ever as a DJ. I feel like it's very irresponsible. 10 years from now, it might not be an issue. But today, it still is an issue and has been an issue. I've been at venues before where I look at my phone and there's that little circle with the slot through it. Like, you ain't getting nothing here, buddy.
Yep.
There's no signal. So I don't like using the streaming services at all. And I own my music. I mean, I use the music services and I know what I have. I like to just have it. So it's one more thing to go wrong when you have to rely on a wireless internet. Oh, do you have internet I can log on to?
Yeah, that's not a cool thing. Not a cool thing whatsoever.
So that's what I got.
Yeah, well, we're going to wrap up our recording of our video here, and then we'll just then we'll open up the Zoom before we can chat here for a little bit. But for those of you watching this out on YouTube, we're going to apologize that we could not do this live tonight on YouTube. We tried 3 times. This was recorded and uploaded later. And next Tuesday night, we should be back with real internet. So, Brian, thank you much. Gang, we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.